Hi guys, and welcome to a podcast, the Tina Man podcast. So basically, I can just ramble on a bit, and it's a bit of a Christmassy one, so it's absolutely going to be full of Christmassy joy. You can listen to this on the bus or whatever. Just put it on to the side. Just listen to this voice. It's a bit Christmassy, and we're doing. I'm going to talk about a review of the live stage musical of Nativity. This is not Nativity like Mary and Joseph went to Nazareth, etc. Even though it's partly about that as well. But this is about a school making a nativity. So this is obviously about the from this is a stage adaptation of the film, the British film musical comedy Nativity. If you don't know Nativity as the film, it's basically this about this friendship. There's a boy called Paul, another boy called George, and another girl called Jennifer, who kind of have this sort of massive friendship. They grew up to love in drama school, to love in drama and musical theatre. George and Paul moved their separate ways to do. Paul went to George and Paul went their separate ways to become a primary school teacher, and Jennifer decides to go to Hollywood to become a big major producer. George and Paul, George and Paul can become these sort of become obviously a primary school teacher, but George Shakespeare becomes Mr. Shakespeare. Is a teacher at this very very high, selective school for like major best students, whilst Paul, who becomes Mr. Madden's, runs a school, runs a school, is a primary school teacher at a public school. Both George Shakespeare and Mr. Madden's create these nativities in their schools to impress their the local newspaper, to get 5 stars, etc., etc. And that's kind of like the first 15 minutes of the film, which is all kind of in a nutshell. There's other things that happen in it, but I just don't want to give it so much spoilers. There is a lot of things that needs to be judged about when it comes to watching a show, and like in recent shows, like there's a lot of I like you can go on when you go online and look at ticket prices. They are pretty shocking from what it used to look like in the past. But I like I looked at the website. I looked at the theatre that I was going to, Plymouth Theatre Royal, and the ticket prices were very very high for this production, and I was like kind of thinking, right, do I actually love Nativity, or do I just want to give it a miss and watch it another time? And I was kind of thinking to myself like, a bit about the past. Well, I really really loved Nativity, and I saw the first post saying that Nativity is going to become a musical, and I absolutely raved for it. So I thought, why not? Why don't we go and see this show? And to be honest, it's it is amazing. The absolute show is full of funny jokes, funny. It's just really funny, really like spontaneous, really Christmassy, really like it just hit home for me. Um, I I am I have special needs, and I used to be a primary school teacher. Well, yeah, I used to be a primary school assistant, and I used to run shows like Wizard of Oz, High School Musical, Aladdin, in the local school, and also in my school as well. And and um, and basically, this show sort of reminded me on how much I am Mr. Poppy. um, I used to, well, I'll talk to you about the cast, because I absolutely love the cast in in this show. I think the cast are flipping phenomenal. Um, and I got to say congratulations to the casting director, because the cast in this look like, some of them actually look like the actual characters from the film. It's just really like mind boggled me to like think, well, he looks like Martin Freeman. Oh, look, she looked. This guy looked like so and so. So a lot of the cast like give me so much, like, oh my gosh, it's like the film. And the really, really like the real best thing about this musical is the kids. The kids are just amazing, but I'll get to that later on. But I'll talk to you about like some of my favourite bits. I'm not going to give you spoilers, but I want to talk to you about some of the favourite bits about this film, this live adaptation. Um, and I want to like answer some of your guys' mind thoughts questions, because I know that some people might be thinking um, such things. So um, did it do well? Film to show, well, film to a live show. Well, as you probably might have seen, like there's a lot of musicals, like for instance Shrek the musical, where I kind of felt, I'm sorry, I might disapprove like Shrek fans, but I didn't really feel that it was not. Shrek the musical didn't really make me feel that it was Shrek the musical. It was just basically some happy clappy songs. It felt like a pantomime, to be honest, for me, which is why I understand that Broadway absolutely loves it. But it felt like just a pantomime version of Shrek, and that's where I just kind of felt, nah, this is not good. This is not for me. I didn't actually like it. But did Nativity from film to stage do that to me? No, I absolutely loved all the songs. There's a lot of stuff that makes it feel like it was just like, oh my gosh. There's one scene in this musical that kind of reminded me of High School Musical 3, where Sharpay and Ryan Evans think that they're going to go to Hollywood and doing all this massive things. And there's a song like that in Nativity, and it just made me laugh. It just made me smile, and like, so there's a lot of songs that are really good as well. And the another thing about this musical is that Mr. Poppy is not just the character; he's also the narrator at the very beginning, and he kind of guides you through the prologue, the first couple of minutes of the show. And it was I think it was very well planned out, very well plotted as well. Some like the setting for this show was looks absolutely phenomenal, and especially at the very end of the show when you watch the kids perform this nativity. For say, like for instance, if you've seen the film, you will get what you've seen from the film on stage, and that to me made me goosebumps, all shivery, and and as well as that, you will be, if you're watching the show and you love the film, you need to, I'll say to you now that during like the last couple of seconds of the show, where they have a power outage, Mr. Poppy, instead of asking for the kids to come out with candles, Mr. Poppy asked the audience to get the lights on the phone working, which looked pretty, because when you look behind you, all the lights were shining, just looked like little stars, and they and obviously, well, the best thing about this sort of show, where you've already got like sort of musical songs behind it, was that there's an extra bit of a surprise. There's extra bits. There's more better bits and extra bits in this show that makes it even more like so worthwhile. And I can't even say it to you, but it just made me feel so Christmassy. This is probably like um, my second to best like Christmas musical. I will talk to you about what's my actual favourite, because it kind of gave me like the Christmassy feeling. But this show is absolutely hilarious. It's British. It's funny, and it's just like what I knew from the past. Um, I'm going to talk to you about a bit about the cast as well now. Um, so the person who's playing Paul Madden's in this show, he he is called Daniel Boyce. Now, the really cool thing about this musical is that the casting is just so correct. Like Martin Freeman, he looks like the actual guy in the film. It's called Martin Freeman, I think, as well. And he looked absolutely phenomenal. He looked like the character. He felt like the character, and I just felt, man, that's Paul Madden's. So he did really, really well, in his part. Sarah Earnshaw played Jennifer Lee. I think she had a real amazing singing voice. Um, as well, like it's just like so good. And I think like they cut out some of the accent that she had beforehand. But to me, like it was just Nativity the musical. I really enjoyed it all. Enjoyed everyone's performance. Gordon Shakespeare, which was played by Andy Brady, Andy Brady. Um, his sort of character, uh, like this is probably one of the real good ideas that they had, is that obviously in the film, Gordon Shakespeare is played by an older and older guy who's got this like, sort of wit to him, but Andy Brady plays this character like it's a pantomime villain, and that's what I was like thinking that really suits Gordon Shakespeare as well, because Gordon Shakespeare's got to be this over the top. He's got to be this inside kid that I was thinking about. He's like this inside kid that's just like wants to be everything perfect, wants everything, he just wants to be greedy, like Mr. Scrooge, who's like he wants success all the time. He just felt like to me like a Mr. Scrooge was just really, really good. Um, Gemma Churchill plays Mrs. Bevan, who's the head teacher. Um, Yet again, I think she played it so well. There's in the same as what the film did as well. There's a scene before the actual show happens where she's just stood on stage and just talking, and she moved. I think not just me but the rest of the audience to bits. I was like thinking, because my mum runs a theatre company and I'm a part of their shows as well. My mum's theatre company shows, and it moved me because it made me think, oh my gosh, like yeah, it's just very moving, and she's very funny as well. I kind of want to get to a real good one as well, which is Jamie Chapman playing Patrick Burns, and oh my god, wasn't he? He reminds me of Alan Carr so well. He does a stunning performance with that role, and he just made me absolutely think, yeah, that's Alan Carr there. That's an Alan Carr impersonator, and he did a really good job, and I think he deserves a pat on the back as well. I'm kind of leaving this person till last because he's real good, and I've seen loads of musicals with him in it, and I, without a doubt, knew that this show's going to be absolutely amazing because this guy was in it, and that's Simon Lipkin playing Mr. Poppy. I've seen Rock of Ages twice because of this dude, because it's so funny. He's just so funny. And his stand up is just so funny, and and a lot of the times, if for those who have seen Rock of Ages, um, he takes the mick out of the characters a lot. He takes the mick out of the cast in a way that is just funny. Um, in a way that's just like, oh my gosh, until once I got told about this is just hilarious sort of person. And he was really good. And I think the casting for this show is just amazing. And Simon Lipkin, I got to say as well, was in Nativity 3, in the Where Is My Donkey? Um, in Where's My Donkey? He plays like an American elf. And that's when I watched that, I was like, yeah, that's Simon Lipkin. I know him. I was like, oh, I watched him before, and he just gives a stunning performance of Mr. Poppy, and I think pretty much Simon Lipkin and Daniel Boyes and the rest of the cast really deserve like a good pat on the back, because it looked like they were having fun as well. This is a show where it's not just the kids having fun, but the adults are having fun as well, and that's what really uplifts this musical to another level. And I gotta say, the best thing for me was the kids. The kids are hilarious. The children in St Bernadette School, to difference to like the Oakmore School, they're just hilarious. A lot of them, like as well, like the Manger Star character girl, who's the Manger Star girl, was just hilarious. And I think the casting was just spot on. The set was spot on. The set looked like, and I think everything was just amazing from when the overture just came on, because the overture was like the overture to the film, and I just literally sat there with all my friends and family, and literally from the first get go, like goosebumps started kicking in, big smile on my face. Snow started falling. I was like, "Yep, this is going to be a great one. This is going to be amazing." And to be honest, even if you think that was just amazing, the actual end of the show is phenomenal. And I actually brought back a lot of the streamers, so I literally filled my bag with streamers, and I'm now thinking, what the hell am I going to do with this? But it's just an amazing show. I definitely will go and get a soundtrack of this. I'm going to get a soundtrack for this musical and definitely listen to it. But I will say as well, since I kind of opened up my question, since I've opened it up, you guys probably might be asking what was actually my favourite musical, Christmas musical, and that is Elf. Elf the musical, and I will do a review on that like next week, because there's going to be a next week one as well. But it's like, I think it goes like Elf, Nativity the musical, then it's like Scrooge, because that's the only one that I haven't. That's the only ones I've seen musical wise. If I said like as well, what's my favourite Christmassy show? I say it's Slava Snow Show. Slava Snow Show is probably one of the best ones I've ever watched. But that was not a musical. That was just like a clown on stage with a lot of snow, a lot of interaction with the audience. But I will like, if I was just trying to think about it as I was along the way over here. What would be a musical that I would like to see in the future, or at least adapt to this live stage? And one of them is actually being The Nightmare Before Christmas, because I think that would be great. And probably like a sort of like a Rodgers and Hammerstein's version, sort of est of It's a Wonderful Life. I love to see that as like done as a classical musical sort of format. If I went to go and see a show like Christmassy musical, what would it be? And that would be probably The Grinch, because I knew that was out in Broadway. I'd like to see that one, because that'd be quite childish and quite funny. And there's a lot of other like there's a lot of other Christmassy musicals that I probably haven't seen, like especially the ones that hit Broadway. Because I haven't seen the Snowman, and that's the only Christmassy show I haven't seen in the UK. And I would love to go and see the Rat Pack as well in Christmassy. But yeah, it's a very I think like Christmas musicals are so rare, and to have like Nativity and have Elf in the UK, especially going around Plymouth, makes people think, do I want to go and see Elf or do I want to go and see Nativity? And that really like I think watching both shows this year makes me think, yeah, but Plymouth has got a really good high chance of making theatre very, very Christmassy this year. Even though Elf did reach a few years ago, started here and etc. But Nativity is now going to be Nativity is going to be added to my list to see every time it comes around on tour. And I think it will come around. I think it will do loads more tours. And if they do Nativity 2, the musical, or Nativity 3, the musical, or if not this new one, it's called Nativity 4, the Nativity Rocks, I'd love to go and see that one if it comes live on stage. And I got to say, like, a Christmas show is got to be done to make everyone in the audience feel Christmassy, and every single Christmassy musical I've seen makes me feel so Christmassy afterwards, and that's the special thing. Like A Christmas Carol, and no, Scrooge it was called, but it's a story about the Christmas Carol, and where the snow comes in at the end and it makes everyone feel Christmassy. And I was just thinking, it's just snow, but it just makes it everyone seem Christmassy, like. And Nativity does exactly the same. There's a lot of like there's a lot of feel good Christmassy bits in it, and like Elf as well, where when I got it when like with Santa and everything, it's just like Christmassy musicals have got to be done so well, and Christmassy musicals I got to say like never fail. Always a great time. You're always going to expect a great time as well. And so I'm going to leave my little podcast there, and I'm going to ask you guys a sort of a question. And what is your favourite musical, favourite Christmas musical? Write down in the comments below. Or if you want to see a Christmas show being done, Christmas musical being done, what would it be, and why would you like to see that show? And I will see you guys I will listen. You will listen to me very soon, like next week. This is going to be every Wednesday. It's going to be like a little podcast, talking about reviews, etc., etc. And I hope you have a very, very amazing Christmas, and I hope you have a very, very amazing New Year. But obviously, I won't be going. But anyway, bye.